Go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Saturn Studs podcast. I'm Kurt.
And as always, I am Peter.
Yes, he has not changed week to week. We fixed that glitch in version 3 of the software.
We're still working on some of the bugs.
Yeah.
Still working out some of the bugs. Still working out some of the bugs.
So last week's podcast went a little bit longer than we expected it to go. But it was all good. We're up on SoundCloud now. I'll link that in the description. And when I get some more hosting sites sorted, I will put those in the description as well. Of course, if you have found us on one of those platforms, ignore this piece and check out our YouTube channel, YouTube/C/SaturnStudLPs, all one word.
Yeah, we never know how this is going to proliferate across the interwebs.
Yeah. And if for our Chinese viewers,
Don't say
anything.
Don't say any racist.
I was going to make a joke about censorship, but it wasn't there for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just went to pick the low hanging
Like
fruit.
their paw print website, that's like their version of Wikipedia that's been edited by the government.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Wiki, not Pedia. I don't know.
I don't remember what it's called, but
that 3-point shot didn't go.
I remember when the logo quiz game was a big deal.
Oh, yep.
Like no one knew what that symbol was. Come to find out, it's like one of the most trafficked websites in the world.
Just by sheer numbers.
Just by sheer number of Chinese people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they have...
They also have their own, like, Facebook-esque thing. I don't know what's called. I don't know. If you're Chinese and you can hear this, send us a comment, because I remember what it was, I just don't remember what it was. Paradoxically.
That's a thing that happens. Alright, so we got a few things that we want to try to get to this week. First off the bat, for those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, I'm not quite sure how you are a fan of this channel, this year marks the 25th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. Hooray, that makes me feel super old. Like, really, really old.
Yup. I remember the Genesis.
Yeah, so, as with most major anniversaries, you can expect an anniversary title. The last big one we got was for the 20th anniversary, Sonic Generations, back in 2011.
Yup.
It was a great game. And a bit of news that's come out recently, kind of backdoor confirmation that we are getting an anniversary game. I guess Crush 40 has recorded some new songs for an upcoming Sonic game.
Butt rock over 25 years.
Yeah. I guess now comes the fun part of gaming news, where we get to wildly speculate on what might the anniversary title be.
The hype machine starts chugging, and everyone just gets their little units of hype output.
I look at it like Sonic Generations was a really good game, and it was a really great anniversary title. It really celebrated 20 years of the franchise. Mm-hmm. But 25 years, that's a big deal. That's your silver anniversary.
Exactly.
So what could you possibly give people that's going to excite them like Sonic Generations did? The answer is Sonic Adventure 3.
You know what? I would really like that. I think that would be like the best way to be like, guys, we finally, like, I know Colors and Generations have been working on it,
yeah.
But this would be their chance to finally kind of solidify Sonic as a 3D game experience, you know?
Yeah, I feel like there's still some magic left in the adventure format. And I know the game that we're not supposed to mention was ostensibly Sonic Adventure 3, but it wasn't titled that, so we don't have to acknowledge it in that light. But yeah, I feel like you can integrate some of the controls that Unleashed, Colors, and Generations had implemented into the 3D of Sonic, and put that in the adventure formula, give it another bad B-movie story that we're going to love for years to come.
As always. Yeah, and I liked in the later ones how they finally figured out how to make the gameplay really flow.
Yeah.
Other than just you go through the level. There's it was probably some of the better implementations of QuickTime events I've seen.
Yeah.
In any sort of gaming, because that really is Sonic is about the quickness. So a QuickTime event is just right at home there.
Also, what I really liked about Generations, and I didn't play Lost World, so I don't know if they kept that in there, but probably not, just because of how the level design worked out. In Generations, they brought back, even the 3D platforming section, there was a lot of multiple pathways, which was something that had been missing for a while from the Genesis titles when they made the jump to the Dreamcast.
And it wasn't like it disappeared, because I played the DS titles, and they still had some of that.
Yeah, well...
Even though that was still like 2D.
Yeah.
They kind of connected that back to the 3D games, where they said, it doesn't matter if it's 3D or not, this is still a really cool part of level design.
Yeah, I feel like that's always been an important part of Sonic's history, and what made it, at least in my opinion, better than Mario was because Mario, there's, maybe there's two ways if you want to talk about Super Mario World with the secret exits.
Yeah.
But there's mostly one path through the level.
Exactly.
But, I've been playing Sonic 2 for, I don't know, 18 years now.
Mm-hmm. And wait, and you still haven't played Sonic 3? We have to do that.
I played Sonic and Knuckles.
Okay, we have to do that.
Okay.
Definitely Sonic 3.
I do have Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I bought the whole Sonic franchise pack.
Good.
One day, when Amazon was having a fire sale. So I have Sonic games that I didn't even know existed.
Oh, geez. Like Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine?
Yep, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is like Dr. Mario, only with beans. And Dr. Robotnik.
For some reason. I did a quick word on the multiple paths, too. Like, that is, now that I think about it, it's an ingenious example of, ingrained de facto level design. Instead of being... It works as a difficulty setting, as a natural difficulty setting, which, some have you have to, select hard, easy, or, normal mode. Yeah. But this one rewards you for being good or being bad, and it changes the gameplay accordingly.
Yeah, like in Act 2 of Chemical Plant Zone, you can avoid the tricky bit with the rising water level entirely if you know the way. I often forget the way when I'm playing, so I have to do it anyway. But
yeah, it's been a while since I've gone through those boards.
Yeah, Sonic. I had the Sonic and Knuckles cart on for my Genesis. And if you plug Sonic 2 into that, you get to play Sonic 2 as Knuckles.
Yeah.
And it breaks certain parts of the game because of his climbing ability.
That's awesome.
The water levels rise and you're like, I don't give no fuck. And you just climb the wall.
Just climbing. Yeah, does that work back with Sonic 1 as well?
No, if you put Sonic 1 in Sonic and Knuckles, you get this, it's like a combination of the bonus stages where you have to, collect the balls and whatnot.
Oh yeah, it's like the just infinite amounts of bonus stages.
Yeah, it's like the bonus stage medley. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I know there are some side little Easter eggs if you put them into certain games. I don't remember which ones.
Yeah, I can't say for sure either. But man, if you want to see the ultimate Frankenstein Voltron of video games,
the Tower of
you
Power.
get your Sega Genesis, you throw on the Sega CD, you pop in the 32X, you pop in your Sonic and Knuckles cart, and then you pop in Sonic 3, and you've created the ultimate gaming machine.
It's honestly just it's the Tower of Babel.
It is the best and worst $150 you will ever spend.
You can probably look it up as Sega Genesis Tower of Power.
It's quite the sight. Yeah, so hopefully with this new anniversary title, it pans out to be something big, like an Adventure 3, maybe some comic book tie-ins, and forcible segue into comic books.
Aha! I see you.
Yeah, so, did you watch any of the Netflix original series from Marvel?
I did watch all of original Daredevil Season 1.
Okay, cool. That's good. That makes this topic a little less forced. So Season 2 of Daredevil's coming out in a couple of months, actually. Well, actually, really 1 month, since it's almost February already. Hard to believe that. Yeah, I was really happy to see that they were going to give Daredevil another solo season. Because I was a little worried with, Jessica Jones, and we're going to get Luke Cage and Iron Fist later in the year, too. And then they're going to do their Hell's Kitchen group. I was afraid that they were just going to do one season for each of them, and then throw them all together in the group show.
Give them time to grow their own characters before everyone just starts jumping in.
Especially Daredevil. Daredevil is probably tied for Batman and Spider-Man. It's 1A, 1B, and 1C. I'll juggle around for my favorite comic book character ever. And I absolutely loved the third season of Daredevil. And I would have been really disappointed if they didn't develop on the second season. I'm really interested to see what route they go with this. Are they going to tackle the Elektra story? Because that would be interesting.
See, I've watched the series, but I don't read the comics.
Right.
Again, I'm coming at most of these topics from the layman's perspective. You're coming in from inside the lore.
Yeah. So, basically, Elektra was... When Frank Miller took over writing Daredevil, which... Back when he could still write comic books, he introduced this character Elektra, because he thought, if I was a superhero, why would I want to date a normal person? I'd want someone who could, match my passion and my energy.
Okay.
So Elektra was created as the love interest to Daredevil, and, she had an arc, and one of Daredevil's arch rivals, and one of the most brutal, probably responsible, I don't know if it's responsible for the creation of the comic code. I think it happened after that, but it was pretty brutal. She's killed by Bullseye in what is essentially a rape and murder.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was one of the darkest things in, comic book history. And a lot of people speculate that when Barbara Gordon was shot and paralyzed by the Joker in The Killing Joke, that was DC's very watered down and very late response to that comic book arc.
Yeah.
So it's one of the most famous Daredevil stories ever. And I think they could implement it. I don't know if that's the route they're going to take, but they have a lot of stones left unturned. Of course, how season 1 ended with the Kingpin, he's definitely going to be back.
Yeah.
There's no way he's going to...
Just to what degree?
Yeah, how's he going to be involved? I feel they have to introduce Bullseye in season 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went with that story arc.
Right. Maybe, put Elektra in just as a character and let her build up over the season, and then that gets you into the finales like season 3.
Yeah.
And you can keep the series fresh deep into its run.
Yeah, well, and because you have 13 hours to work with, because they do about 13 episodes a season. They're all 1-hour episodes, so that's a lot of time to really build up that arc. And I don't know what other... Because, you see, the first season was one of the more faithful adaptations of The Man Without Fear book, which was a 5-issue series that was an origin story of Daredevil, one of the better ones. And, that was the main focus. If you had the Kingpin going on in the background, but all the while, he's trying to clear... Oh God, what's her face? Shit, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name. But the girl's...
the love interest? Kingpin's love interest?
Well, not Kingpin's love interest. The girl that Matt Murdock is...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember right now. I know I should, because I'm pretty sure she's a major character.
But if you're tuned in and you're actually caring about what we're talking about, you probably know who we're talking about. So.
Yeah, so there's that. But yeah, they were trying to clear her, and the Kingpin stuff was going down in the background. But those were really the two main stories. Everything revolved around that involvement. But if you introduce Bullseye in the second season and you build the Elektra character, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle, the episode-to-episode sort of minutia of the series.
Right.
I think with Daredevil they have a built-in crutch with that, because Matt Murdock is also a lawyer, so they can make it a bit of a crime drama for parts of it.
And they could kind of avoid the series singularity where, I kind of see this with a lot of new series. Well, maybe not new series. Everything since the 80s and 90s, where even if it's a long-running series, even if it starts out on the far end as a comedy, everything kind of just devolves into one singularity of serious action hero tragedy sort of drama.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that a lot with, like, season finales and season premieres. Like, they hit you, like, with...
Or, like, last seasons even, where they're like, let's forget about the entire premise of the story. This is about the characters all going through their hardest moments.
Yeah. Like, a weird example of that point is Rick and Morty. You know, how season 2 ended. It was like, whoa, where did all this emotion come from?
Yeah, that was, like, the most plot-driven part of, like... of any of that series.
Yeah.
You know, and one from my own experiences. You ever watch Burn Notice?
Yes, I did.
Great. First 4 seasons, like, cheesy, spy, comedy, drama thing. And then, towards the end, everything starts becoming, like, really darker, and everything's kind of building up to this, really depressing crescendo.
Yeah.
You know, in the last season, even they don't even do like the case by case thing that they were doing for the first 4 seasons.
All the episodes. Yeah, it's all one big story arc. Yeah, if you haven't watched Burn Notice, I recommend it just because Bruce Campbell's in it.
Yup.
And he's the man.
You saw the special, right?
Yes, I did see the special, and I realized how old he's getting in that special.
He is not a young fellow anymore.
Nope.
What's his newest thing that he's doing now?
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Right, okay.
I have not seen any of that, but I am nonetheless interested. Maybe it's something we can look into after this.
Yeah, maybe that's a future podcast
topic review. So, on from comic books to comic book movies, there's a whole lot of them coming out this year.
Yeah.
We've got Deadpool in February, Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. We've got Batman vs. Superman in March. And then in the summer, we've got Captain America 3 and X-Men Apocalypse. So, I'm going to spend a lot of money on movies this year.
Yeah, I think, this spring season is going to be, it's definitely a primer so that they can really just smash it out of the park during the summer.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. So, of the comic book movies that we know are coming out, which one would you say you're looking forward to the most?
Okay, so I'm going to make a split here. The one I'm looking forward to the most and the one I'm anticipating the most.
Okay.
The one I'm looking forward to the most is Deadpool. Because they're taking a really strong, it's still the Marvel guys, right? It's Marvel Studios?
I think it's Fox, actually.
Okay, it's Fox. But I think, it depends on how much direction they're getting from the Marvel guys. Because if...
Right.
How much they're collaborating with them. Because how it looks like it has the shine and polish of every other like Marvel superhero movie,
right,
where everything just fits together, and it's going to be put on Deadpool, which is such a good fan character, and it's something that you need to get absolutely right. Otherwise, it just falls flat, even more than any other comic book character, because it's humor. And if you don't do the humor right, it's not going to hit.
Deadpool is really hard to nail, even in his own comic book. Like, Deadpool, it was a 65 or 69 issue series. I think it was 69 issues because they had to work that joke into there. Mm-hmm. And it went through like 3 or 4 writers. And the guy who wrote the first 30 issues, it was really good. And then he thought the series was over, so he left the comic book because the sales weren't great. Deadpool really became more popular as time went on with his comic run. Like, he didn't push a lot of comics during his series' run. But, later on, people like me were like, oh my god, this is awesome, I love this. And then we had a few different writers, some were good, some were bad. I really liked, and a lot of people don't give, I think Joe Kelly was the guy who wrote the first 30 issues, and then I had a guy called Christopher Priest, who a lot of people didn't care for. Like, I don't see a lot of people, like, ranking him as one of the best Deadpool writers, but I thought all this shit was really funny. Like, most of the arc that he had was, Deadpool was cursed by Loki to be handsome.
Oh.
Like, he had Tom Cruise's face.
That's great.
Led to some pretty hilarious antics. But I like those, yeah. But yeah, to your point, I also am really looking forward to Deadpool, and we'll probably try to make time to see that when it comes out.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think, like, because what's going to happen is they have the Deadpool writing, and they have the full force of the new age of superhero movies behind it to make sure it lands. It's going to land. Like,
yeah. If this movie were being made, like, I don't know, around 2003-ish, like coming off the heels of the Daredevil movie.
Or when did Deadpool actually show up before in one of the? Did he show up in one of the X-Men's?
It was 2009 or 2010.
That
Rockapool. But the thing about that movie though was that Ryan Reynolds was the perfect casting for Wade Wilson / Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm glad he came back to set things right, because like he's got the look of an action star, and he can simultaneously he's got the sense of humor to pull it off, and he's got the moves to do it too. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Deadpool myself. So that was the one you were looking forward to most. What was your most anticipated one?
The one I'm anticipating the most is Dawn of Justice.
Okay.
Because I just want to see what happens. Can they do it? Can they pull off this world building stuff that they've been trailing on? Because my brother and I and a lot of our friends are DC people.
Right.
As much as I can be, not being a comic book guy anyways. But, they've just fallen short on so many of their previous endeavors that this one is their first attempt at catching up with the Avengers. That's how everyone's going to view it. Even if it's not, they're trying to make it apart from that, everyone's going to see it like that.
Yeah.
And so far, they haven't even, they've kind of botched that already from the trailer, which dropped the big twist, and it dropped the name of the main villain.
Yeah.
And they spoil basically everything, and the fan version of it was a lot better.
Yeah. See, I want it to be good. I've recently become more of a DC guy myself after being a Marvel man most of my life. And I really want this movie to succeed. And they're doing kind of what I thought they should have done from the beginning, when everyone's like, oh, you gotta make a Justice League movie to catch up with the Avengers and all that. I'm like, how about... This is back when they're like, oh, well, Christian Bale alone will make the movie unmakeable because of how much money he'll want. I was like, well, why don't you just do a Batman and Superman movie, do a World's Finest movie, and then go from there. Like, use like all the TV shows you have for your DC characters to try to build the world outside the movies. I know that doesn't usually work because people don't want to do their summer reading, but give it a shot at least. But I like the concept of this. I like that. See, I've gone through a lot of weird things on this. Like when it was first announced Batman vs Superman, I was like, awesome. It's going to be cool. It's going to be like The Dark Knight Returns, and Batman's going to grab Superman by the collar, and he's going to say his lines. Yep. He's going to say, I want you to remember, in all your most private moments, the man who beat you, and I was going to blow my nerd load all over the movie theater, and it was going to be perfect. And then came the Dawn of Justice add-in, and the movie started to get crowded. They're announcing all these people that are going to be in the movies, and, even after seeing this most recent trailer, I think I'm more confused about how Wonder Woman fits into this movie.
Yeah. Oof. It's like, is she just gonna show up?
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. They're fighting Doomsday, and then she just shows up. It's like, how long are Batman and Superman fighting? How are you going to balance all this action and all that? And I think it's way too early to drop the Doomsday card, even if they bring him back somehow.
Yeah, that's you start step one with the thing
that kills Superman, or put him in a healing coma. I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord. Start with Brainiac.
Even Brainiac would be... I mean, I appreciate... The one thing I really liked about Man of Steel was that they didn't do Lex Luthor again. Because Lex Luthor's been done to death. They did Zod. I didn't particularly like how they did Zod, but, they did Zod. It was, to their credit, they did Zod and Ursa and Non, and it was cool. And I thought it was nice for them to try different villains And they started with villains that would reasonably push Superman to his limits, because
Right.
they're all Kryptonians.
And would work in a cinematic context because we know that it already did because of the old Supermans.
Oh, Superman 2, man. Isn't it really sad that even with all our advancements in special effects, we can't make a better Superman movie than we made in the 70s?
It's so true. Like, I need to watch that movie in full, but I've seen, like, I see the snippets, and I see just Christopher Reeves being, like, he is being Superman because that's who he is, and just like, oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, so tragic what happened to him there. Mm-hmm. So, I agree. I'm looking forward to both those movies. I'm looking forward to all these movies. But I think the movie I'm most looking forward to is probably Civil War. Because, if not just because I'm so interested in how they're going to manage something as big as the Civil War arc, which was 106 issues.
Yikes.
How they're going to condense it down. Like, I know they can't do what they did in the comics. They can't... Because a lot of it was... some school shooting had happened, and the book came out in 2006, and the main impotence that kicked off the campaigning for the Superhero Registration Act was a supervillain. Oh, well, let me rewind a bit.
Okay.
So there's this group of young superheroes. I don't remember the name of. It's not super important. But they have a reality TV show of them hunting down supervillains, and they try to take on a group of supervillains that's well out of their league, and they're at somewhere in Connecticut, and they track down this villain Nova, whose power is like he can blow himself up and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
And he blows himself up like right by a school.
Okay.
And it kills a whole bunch of kids, and the government's like, well, we gotta start regulating superheroes and all that. And then you get the Iron Man pro-registration and the Captain America anti-registration side of things. And it was very morally ambiguous, and it was really up to the reader to root for who they wanted to root for, because it wasn't like, this side is right and this side is wrong sort of thing. It was, do you believe that these people deserve to have the freedom of autonomy, or do you think that they're too dangerous to, be on their own?
And, I don't know, side note, that's just kind of the same sort of sentiment that's coming into play. Not same, but it's along the same notes as Apocalypse.
Yeah. I'm also looking forward to Apocalypse. I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to all these movies. And I think Apocalypse has the potential to maybe be the best of them all. Days of Future Past certainly was the best movie that came out the year it came out.
I need to see that. I haven't seen a lot of these superhero movies. I need to
catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have a binge sometime.
Yeah, sometime. So, yeah. So that whole politically charged dynamic and morally ambiguous tone, I think, is going to lend itself really well to the already super established characters of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm interested to see, because in the Civil War comic book, like, the main character of the story, like, caught in the middle of both sides, was Spider-Man.
Okay.
And they did get the rights to Spider-Man, which is good, because I'm like, how are you going to do Civil War without Spider-Man?
Yeah.
But he doesn't appear to be, like, the main focus. But the fact that Marvel has the rights to Spider-Man, and we're finally going to get a good Spider-Man movie, excites me almost as much as the movie itself. I really want to see
how
Spider-Man
Marvel
in the Marvel,
yeah. Yeah, and I think, thinking about this whole cinematic universe style that they have now, that would be a really cool opportunity to bring that sort of moral ambiguity into the theater and to the more the layman audience.
Yeah.
Because what you can do is maybe you have an Iron Man movie where the villain is Captain America and the anti-registration guys, and then you have a Captain America movie where the villain is the pro-registration guys, and you can see both sides, and then people can get their own sides, and you can do the whole choose your side thing,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, like I said, it's one of the things that has me really excited about the movie, is that the way they've built up the world that this movie is going to exist in, it allows them the freedom to have the morally ambiguous conflict. Like, you get to think what's going to happen. And some people are going to die here. I'm not sure how this is going to advance the countdown to the Infinity War, as it were. It's going to weaken their numbers, sure, and maybe that's what causes Thanos to think now's the time to attack Earth. I don't know how many more movies are going to be in Phase 3, because the end of Phase 3 is Infinity War Part 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so.
So Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I'm sure is going to be Thanos they're going to be introducing Adam Warlock, and Thanos is probably going to get more Infinity Stones. Or just his first Infinity Stones, because I think he just has the gauntlet now.
Right. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Review the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, and you will now know.
Yeah. So, actually, I think it was the end of Ultron, maybe? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how this is going to build to that, but nonetheless, I'm very excited for this movie, because the last Captain America movie was probably one of the best in the
fantastic.
whole... Yeah, probably one of the best in the whole series of movies they've done, so hopefully they can build on their success and top it, yeah. Alright, so we wanted to end the podcast with a little bit of I don't know what you would call this, just something fun we want to try to end our podcast with, give diversity of topics. So you don't have to listen to us rant about one thing for an hour and a half. So this week I thought, since it was on my mind for whatever reason, we're playing a lot of Gunstar Heroes, and we will revisit Gunstar Heroes on the channel because we finally beat it, and I'm pretty sure we can do it again because we've learned much.
Yes,
it might not be pretty, but it can be done.
We've rediscovered easy mode.
Yes. Oh my god, all the glitches and the boss's attack patterns we found.
It was awesome.
Alright, so in the spirit of us beating Gunstar Heroes, I thought it'd be fun for us to do our personal top 5 Genesis games. Now, this is a top 5 from Peter and a top 5 from me. We do not collaborate on a singular top 5.
Okay.
So, without any further ado, I suppose we should give our number 5 pick, and I guess we'll start with you,
Well,
Peter.
I'll start before number 5 with my number 6, which is not on my number 5. Thunder Force 4. It is a reasonably good shooter with really metal, awesome-looking bosses, good power-ups, and with a unique level structure. You can choose your order of the first 4 levels, and then the last 5 or 6 are predetermined. And it also has one of the most fantastic Genesis metal soundtracks I have ever heard.
Right, so I guess I'll give my number 6 honorable mention too, which is also a spaceship shooter, in Truxton.
Okay.
Truxton is a very unique shooter with its power-up systems. There's 3 colors of enemy ships, red, blue, and green, and based on what power-up you have, you can more easily take out a certain color enemy ship. And it also has one of the more rockin' soundtracks of a Genesis shooter. Yeah. So,
okay.
To the real number 5.
Real number 5. My number 5 is Shinobi 3. A running theme throughout my top 5 is, do you feel cool while you're playing it?
Okay.
And Shinobi, I think, fits that because, first of all, you're a ninja. And then you're a ninja fighting through the whole land of, technological, tanks and samurai and, gargoyle demons. And some of the set pieces they have, because, they don't have many set pieces early on in, gaming history. Now you have them where you're on the vehicle section or you're flying or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you did it in, a Genesis game, it was awesome.
Yeah, really advanced.
Because the 2 ones I remember the most, well, 3. There's first one where you're riding on a horse and the enemies come in. They come in from the background and then they come in towards you and you're jumping and galloping around and it's a really great soundtrack going on behind it. The second one is you're riding on a jet ski fighting mechas over a river. And then that's in order to get to, the evil base where their operations are. And it's kind of like the horse section, but it's on a jet ski, and you're a ninja on a jet ski, and that's just awesome.
Yeah.
And then the third one is you're fighting atop falling rocks, anime style, against the bosses, which are like harpy stuff.
That's pretty sweet, yeah.
Yeah, and it really offers like good gameplay because you can fight with your sword, you can fight with your shuriken, and you have a whole variety of special moves that you can pull off.
Yeah, the Shinobi games definitely are pretty cool and innovative. Which is kind of the theme throughout my top 5, is really unique game design and cool and innovative concepts. And in that vein, this is one of the first Genesis games, actually, and my number 5 goes to Altered Beast, which is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. And you start out, you're this dude who's kind of like naked, got his loincloth going on, and if you have like 3 hits you can take, sort of, like you have 3 lives, sort of thing. And each time you lose a life, you morph and you become more bestial, and you get stronger and better. So, like, it really brings out, like, in the Smash community, there's a saying, the last stock is when your true self comes out.
Right.
Because you got that one last life, and you gotta make it count and play your best. And this game allows you to do that, because when you're on your last life, you're in your most powerful form. So it's a really cool weighted balance between skill as a player and power of your character. Mm-hmm. You find the sweet spot of, like, maybe you're an awesome wolfman, but if you're an awesome wolfman, you don't have much room for error because you only have the one life. I mean, that mechanic is its unique drawing point. Outside of that is not too much different than your regular side-scroll and beat 'em up, but that's not a bad thing.
Right. That kind of reminds me of God Hand, except in God Hand it compensates you for being good, so it brings you back down because as you fight more, your level goes up, and then all the enemies become harder.
Right.
But in this one, this compensates you for going down.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings you back up. Just a neat little parallel.
Yeah.
My number 4 is the Lost Vikings, which this one isn't too much. You don't feel super cool while playing it, but you do feel pretty smart. So have you ever heard of this game?
I have not.
Oh, it's awesome. So the story is you're 3 Vikings sent in like a Turtles Through Time scenario to all the generic levels, space level, swamp level, lava level, Egypt level, candy level.
Ooh,
that's one.
Candy level.
But the gameplay is really innovative. You have 3 Vikings, one who has a sword and an arrow, one who can run fast and charge into things, and one who has a shield, which allows him to both block things, act as a platform, and fly down. And you switch between them, and you do puzzle platforming. So you'll go and you have to maybe jump up on the shield guy and jump up to a higher ledge to hit a switch, and then you have to run with the runner guy and not break open a wall that'll do something else, which will allow the shield guy to get up to the next level.
Right.
And so it combines this really puzzle-oriented platforming, but it still has
kind of like
action.
Knuckles Chaotix sort of thing?
Sort of, yeah. That's one we can play, because it's
Knuckles Chaotix?
Knuckles Chaotix and Lost Vikings.
Right.
Because it's kind of a comedic game, too. It's got a little charm. I like in the second one they reference the Blues Brothers. They do the...
that's a win right there.
The however many miles out from Chicago. It's dark. We have sunglasses on. Hit it. Yeah, and it's really cool. Really cool kind of puzzle feel. And when you die, there's a funeral pyre.
Right. So Peter's probably going to roll his eyes and nod at my number 4 because it's a pretty obvious number 4 for me. My number 4 is Mortal Kombat 2.
Oh.
It is the better home console port of Mortal Kombat 2 because we got blood this time.
Yep.
And the Genesis 6-button controller is one of the best fighting game controllers of all time.
Because it's an arcade controller, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's got the face buttons laid out in an arcade style, and it's got a really great D-pad, and playing this game felt really cool. And the combo system wasn't, it was there. It was on parallel with what Street Fighter was offering at the time. But the art style of this game was really something that hadn't been seen before. The whole digitized sprites of live actors.
Like that rendered sort of
yeah,
feel.
It wasn't something that we really saw before, and then, Nintendo copied it with Donkey Kong Country. But Mortal Kombat 2, when it hit, there wasn't really a fighting game on home consoles like it. So, and as a person who really enjoys fighting games, it was like a must-have for my collection, even though it was rated M, so I had to sneak that past my parents. But it played well. There was a lot of secrets and unique characters. You got to figure out your fatalities. There was a lot of depth to the game outside of it just being a pretty well-rounded fighter. So there was a lot of replay value to keep you going and finding secrets and impressing your friends with your long combos or humiliating fatalities. So
those are always a good bonus.
It was a great game to play with friends. You could sink a lot of time into it, and that's why it's my number 4 game.
Okay, cool. My number 3 game, I literally just switched my number 2 and number 3 game right now as you were talking. So my number 3 game, down from number 2, is Vector Man. Vector Man it's another unique sort of gameplay. Not unique in gameplay, but it's definitely unique in style.
Yes.
Because it's all vector graphics as opposed to raster graphics, which coincidentally is the name of the main villain in the game.
Raster.
Inside joke.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty basic shooter. It's Mega Man with double
jump and
jumps.
shoot.
Yeah, it's jump and shoot, man. But you get cool power ups, and all the bosses are really neat. Like there's the most memorable. Everyone's played it remembers at least the second level where you turn into a train.
Yes.
And you fight Metalhead. Early on the train, and then like sometimes you turn into a rollerblader. Sometimes you're like flying, and it all comes from him transforming.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting game that's very stylized.
Yeah.
And it introduced the stylized form of Genesis games to come, I would think.
Yeah, and really, I think it kind of served as an inspiration for other like cinematic stylized games like the Oddworld series and stuff, because it had a lot of the same unique set pieces that kind of were interactive and the polished look to the graphics. Yeah.
Right. Exactly, and they did a great job with Vector Man 2, and then we never got another one, because Blue Sky is out of business.
Yep. So, my number 3 is also one of the more unique art style games on the Genesis, and that is Comic Zone.
Yep.
Comic Zone is a game where you play as a comic book artist who has been trapped in his comic book by the villain of the comic book. He gets sucked in, and the villain's, antagonizing him and, drawing obstacles. And he has to play through his own comic book. And this game is hard as balls. It is one of the more difficult games I've ever played. And it makes it all the more rewarding when you finally, get decent enough to progress in it. And it has a really unique style because you're playing in a comic book and the level progresses panel to panel. And there's, cool gimmicks like if you throw an enemy through a panel, like the white separating the panel like burst open and stuff, and you can like rip part of the comic book out and like make a paper airplane to throw at an enemy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool, really innovative. It was a later release in the Genesis's lifespan, so it didn't get as much recognition as it deserved, but nonetheless, it's a really awesome game. Very difficult. So, I mean, if you're not someone who's willing to invest time to get good at a game, you're probably not going to get very far in it. But even just the first level gives you a real feel for the art style and the uniqueness of the gameplay. And it's unlike anything else I've ever played, even to this day.
Yeah. Cool. My number 2 is Sonic 3. Not with Knuckles.
Not with Knuckles.
Because I like the final boss. The thing about Sonic is, at least this one was, as a kid, it introduced me to a lot of the video game tropes. It introduced me to finding the secrets, which were always really cool because you did the secrets and then you had to do the challenge to get the Chaos Emeralds.
Right.
And the Chaos Emeralds actually meant something. They weren't like, you got all the special coins, here's the secret ending, which they did with the first one. But with this one, you get a cool power-up at the end.
Were they the Hyper Emeralds in Sonic 3?
In Sonic 3 and Knuckles,
okay,
you have to do the Hyper Emerald challenges because he drains the Chaos Emeralds.
Okay.
But I think Sonic 3 was the best out of all the three. It had the most, flowing level design. It kept with a lot of that same sort of path feel, but it was able to add in background touches and create a story in the background that you didn't really have with 2 and 1, like, the levels transition to each other, because you go from Angel Island Zone, and you see the cinematic where it gets set on fire, and now you know who the bad guy is.
Right.
And you transition from that into, you fall off Angel Island into Hydro City Zone, and you fight there, and you do some cool set pieces, like where you're running from a crushing wall, right, and you're jumping up and down all around, and then you get out of there, and I believe it's Marble Garden Zone, and that one's okay. I like the part where you get to fly and fight the boss while you're flying. That one's nice. And then you fall out of Marble Garden into Carnival Night Zone. And then when you get past Carnival Night, you get the first, 90s cool Sonic skateboarding set piece before Sonic Adventure 2.
Right. It was snowboarding though, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it's still him on some mobile board being like, way past cool.
90s attitude. Radical.
Also, I love Ice Cap Zone's music. And then you go to Launch Bay Zone, and it's a rocket, and you fight 3 final bosses, and then you fight the most the scariest final boss in my childhood, because he had lots of spikes, and the sky went dark, and it played rockin' music. I'm like, this is a final battle, guys.
Right. My number 2 is probably driven a fair bit by nostalgia. Mm-hmm. My number 2 is The Shining Force Legacy of Dark Intent. It was the game that really made me love RPGs. It's the first game, other than maybe Pokemon, that I can remember beating start to finish. It's not a super unique RPG. You have your characters, Kingdoms in Trouble and whatnot. You have It's a pretty basic plot, but with some nice touches and twists and all that. But the unique thing about this game is that you didn't really have complete control over how your characters turned out, because level bonuses were assigned at like semi-random. Like there were a few different bonuses you could get at each level up, and depending upon which ones you got, a character that was really good in one playthrough could be not so good in another. And that's something that I've come to appreciate later. I mean, I'm not saying it's a great mechanic, but it's something that's unique and adds
replay value,
and you might end up using some characters you never used before. But it's a tight story. It's nothing too adventurous by today's standards, but I'm sure in context it was a pretty good story. We'll play it someday, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But I really liked it. I thought the weapons and items were cool. I thought generally how they integrated the plot into the battles was cool. I liked how it wasn't a game set up where you could grind a whole lot, but there were some tricks to let you milk more experience from battles. It wasn't, and it's not an easy game because of how it's structured. It kind of challenges you to really make the most out of what you've got, and partially on nostalgia, because it was the first game I ever beat, and the ending made me tear up a little bit. I have to give it to The Shining. Well, I was like 6 or 7.
I don't care. Good ending is a good ending.
Yeah. So, definitely, if you can find this game, play it. There was a Game Boy Advance re-release of it not all that long ago. That's probably the version we'll play on the show, because it looks better. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Shining Force Legacy of Dark Intent, or Legacy of Dark Dragon, I think is the GBA re-release title. Number 2.
Nice. Alright, so my number 1 is the one that reminds me most of this kind of theme that I've seen running through my top 5, which was, do you feel cool while playing it? Because you saw, Vector Man definitely is a cool game. Yeah. It's got that sweet aesthetic. And Sonic has that flow that all the 2D Sonics had.
Right.
And all that, the neat level design and that cool aesthetic. So my favorite, my top Genesis game is Gunstar Heroes. Because when you're good at that game, you feel amazing. Like, once you stop being able to beat the game, and if you want to go back and start replaying it and go for score, you feel like a total pro, even if you're even not that good.
Yeah.
And I think it comes down to the free movement, or the movement style, and the kung fu system. Because you have your gun and that's your main weapon, but if you combine directional buttons with your fire button, you start doing like kung fu moves. You can do throws, you can do the jumps. If you've watched our Gunstar Heroes playthrough, you can see all of that stuff happening. And when you can like dodge a boss's attack and then hit him from behind, or like throw him into something and keep him off your toes, that's a really gratifying feeling.
Yeah.
And that's why it's my number one. That's probably the biggest reason why it's my number one.
Okay. My number one kind of contradicts some of the points you laid out a little bit.
Okay.
But not really, but it's just a difference of opinion. My number one is the Sega Genesis's killer app, the one that pushed more units than anything else, and that is Sonic 2, which in my opinion is the best Sonic, because I feel it had the best stages and the best music, and really started... It set the template for what Sonic 3 would become. It started, like, there were some secrets in Sonic 1, but Sonic 2 pushed it to a whole nother level. It introduced the Chaos Emeralds, I believe.
It had... The other ones had the Chaos Emeralds in them before, I think, but you didn't do anything with them.
Yeah. It introduced Super Sonic, and, you got Tails, and you got all these, things that you think of when you think of Sonic. Mm-hmm. And the gameplay was just smooth. All the levels were laid out well. Even the water level wasn't that bad.
Right.
And
especially because it was like in and out of water.
Yeah, and the death... Yeah, you can avoid water entirely if you're good enough. And, I really liked the boss selection, the death egg and all that, and the whole, you gotta make it count because you got limited rings and all that. And it flew together well. The music was... in my opinion, the best in the Sonic series. At least the 2D Sonic series. That Chemical Plant Zone, though.
Yeah.
Best, one of my favorite tracks in all of Sonic's history. And, like I said, I've been playing it for 18 years now, and I still can go back and enjoy it just as much as when I played it the first time. And I think that is the testament to a good game, really.
So you know what this means now. We have to play all the Sonic games anyways.
Yeah,
it's kind of a given.
It's the year of Sonic, so we're going to have to do that.
With that in mind, we should start from 3 and Knuckles and work our way back.
Okay.
Because I don't know, do you want to save our favorite games for later?
I don't know. I mean, I'm cool with starting with 3. I'm just thinking about how much of a pain it's going to be to do Sonic CD.
Oh, yeah. Can we skip that one?
Well, Sonic CD is not a bad game. It's a good game, but it's a long game.
Yeah, we tried it before.
Yeah.
Didn't run that well. Well, it ran. We just didn't run that well.
Yeah, we didn't run that well.
That's a skill testing game.
That's neither here. Yeah, that
multiple paths.
If you wanna test your precision control of Sonic, play Sonic CD. It's Casino Zone.
Ooh, can we play Sonic Spinball?
Oh God, why?
Because I'm a fan of muddy graphics, muddy music, and really tough gameplay.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so this month's playthrough has been the Street Fighter one because of all the turmoil. Sorry, it was only 2 videos. But starting February, I believe, is FTL.
Oh, awesome.
So that's about 6 episodes. We'll see how I'll balance that across the 4 weeks. But keep an eye out for that. As always, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.